we're still awaiting whatever the Iranian response is going to be to that Israeli provocation of assassination on Iranian soil the day before the new president was inaugurated. Nonetheless, let's put this up on the screen. This is Barak Ravid, who's close both with the DC establishment and with the Israeli establishment. He says the updated assessment of the Israeli intelligence community is that Iran has decided to attack Israel directly in retaliation for the assassination of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh, and may do within days even before the August 15th hostage deal talks, per two sources. We also have some indications from the Iranian side that maybe potentially are in the other direction. Israel is really bracing for a massive offensive here. And the U.S., judging by the military assets that we are rushing into the region, are also bracing for a massive retaliation from Iran. Here's what Iran had to say about it in part. We can put this up on the screen. They said on Saturday they want to avoid negatively impacting Gaza ceasefire talks. This is E2, guys. With its anticipated retaliation. Achieving a permanent ceasefire in Gaza remains a priority, Iran's permanent mission to the UN said in a statement. It also said any agreement accepted by Hamas would be acceptable to Iran as well. The statement condemned Haniyeh's assassination in Tehran as a, quote, violation of Iranian national security and sovereignty. Iran emphasized its right to self-defense, but stressed it hopes its response would not impede the ongoing ceasefire efforts. Now, as far as those ceasefire efforts go, Saagar, don't appear to be going that well. Because, I mean, Bibi Netanyahu it's long been clear, him and his government don't have an interest.
They don't want it.
They don't want a ceasefire. They've played all these games of pretending like they're interested, but then throwing up some obstacle at the last minute. And you have new reports that maybe the Biden administration is going to be a little bit tougher on them, but no indication that we're going to actually do the things we need to do, which is to say, listen, you're on your own. We're cutting off weapon shipments, et cetera. I could put this up on the screen. Diplomatic sources told Haaretz that it has been clarified to Netanyahu that the Biden administration is reaching the point where his behavior would result in the White House publicly accusing him of preventing the release of the hostages. Up till now, the White House has only blamed Hamas for any problems in the ceasefire talks. Now, allegedly, they're saying, well, we'll blame you and Hamas.
August 12th. Who cares at this point?
And that's the thing is like, you know, how many of these, they're upset behind the scenes and they're being tougher and he's really going to be tough this time, before people realize that this is also all a joke. This is all nonsense posturing. And Bibi Netanyahu obviously does not care what Joe Biden thinks or says of him without actually applying any real pressure using the mechanisms of power that we have. So, I mean, this is all ridiculous. And then the last piece I'll put up here, I'll get your fulsome response, Saagar, is Hamas has basically said, listen, we're done playing games here. Like, we see the game that you're playing here of pretending to do serious negotiations and just using this to throw up new obstacles and walk away from any potential deal. So in part, what they said is, in light of this and out of concern and responsibility towards our people and their interests, the movement calls on the mediators to submit a plan to implement what they presented to the movement and approved on July 2nd, based on Biden's vision, the Security Council resolution to oblige the occupation to do so instead of going to more rounds of negotiations or new proposals that provide cover for the occupation's aggression and give it more time to perpetuate the war of genocide against our people. And remember, the guy that Israel assassinated, Ismail Haniyeh, was the political leader of Hamas, and in the context of Hamas, was more of a deal maker, more of a moderate. Now you have Yahya Sinwar, who was the architect of the October 7th attacks, who is the lead voice and the lead negotiator here, and he is much more hardline, which, by the way, serves Bibi Netanyahu too, because he doesn't want a ceasefire deal.
I was going to bring that up. What I am just so terrified right now is that Lloyd Austin and the Israelis spoke yesterday. The USS Abraham Lincoln is accelerating right now to go to the Middle East as fast as possible. 2 U.S. guided missile destroyers are headed to the Eastern Mediterranean. The Hezbollah yesterday penetrated Iron Dome. There's so many things happening, it's almost too much to put in the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Are we all going to ignore northern Israel, the so-called incredible Iron Dome? Almost every rocket penetrated the Iron Dome and was able to hit its target. A preview of what a real general war with Hezbollah would look like. Iran, according to the Israelis, says that they are preparing a, quote, large-scale attack. Now, as we all know, the Israeli military on its own is completely incapable of repelling this. It will take, again, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the United States, and the UK and France all to have to step in and to shoot down all these missiles on Israel's behalf. And look, at a certain point, I don't even necessarily have a problem with that. As long as we're also trying to constrain Israeli action on the other side, that would lead to it.
That keeps drawing us in.
That's the problem.
In very intentionally too.
If we are lessening tension and lessening the likelihood of regional war on both sides, I have no problem. Cool, let's shoot it down here and then tell Israel, it's like, hey guys, you got to cut this out. But to have it second time now in the span of just several months, we know where the action is coming from. And I continue to say this. If the Israelis did not have total confidence that we would shoot down this stuff for them, they would never dream in a million years of blowing somebody up in the middle of Tehran like this and basically openly cheering about it. Because if Hezbollah, a paramilitary organization, can penetrate Iron Dome, what could Iran do to them? It's like this is where the concept of strategic balance is so important, and why when you put your hand so far on one side and then you basically take it off on the other, that's what actually increases the likelihood of escalation.
Well, and here's the thing too. Last time it appears Iran basically coordinated their retaliation with us. They wanted it to look big, but be capable for us to be able to deal with it, and the Israelis and Jordan et al., and for it to not really inflict much, if any, damage on Israel. Is that the case this time? I mean, the Israelis may be overestimating our capabilities to deal with this.
It only takes one.
Massive issue. That's exactly right. Massive issue that they have created for themselves. And, while this is all going on, we can never lose sight of what is happening on the ground in Gaza, where the horror absolutely continues. Now, it's worth remembering, both with this assassination in Tehran and also the assassination in Beirut and Lebanon, Israelis were able to be really very precise. Very, very precise. Yet, we now have another horror unfolding. We could just run this as VO, guys, so I can talk over it. We have a school that was hit by the Israelis using massive munitions, huge bombs that just killed around 100 people, according to reports on the ground. This was a school in Gaza City where displaced Palestinians were sheltering. And it's just an absolute horror. Now, the Israelis are claiming, we can put this up on the screen. The Israelis are claiming, oh, of course, what else? This was Hamas was sheltering here. This was Palestinian Islamic Jihad that was sheltering here. They put out a list of 19 supposed militants that were among the dead. However, this is from a human rights organization. They went and they looked, okay, well, who are these people actually? So far, of these supposed eliminated terrorists in this school massacre, 3 had already been killed before, so you can't kill them twice. Another 3 were elderly civilians, no military ties, one a school principal, a deputy mayor, and a university professor. 6 are absolute civilians. Some were even opposed to Hamas, and they're continuing to verify the remaining names. But let me be clear, even if this wasn't a lie and they actually did kill 19 militants in this strike, you cannot just bomb a school where Palestinian civilians, women, children, who were the majority of the dead, are sheltering. That is not acceptable. That is a war crime, even if Hamas is, quote unquote, using them as human shields. So this is what continues. If you look at the map, Saagar, Gaza has just been decimated. Like, that was clearly the goal, to make it so there was complete annihilation, nothing to go back to. And they may have not destroyed Hamas, but that goal they have surely accomplished.
Well, internationally too, it's just one of those where, again, when the Biden people are like, oh, we are going to call you out, it's like, so what? Who cares at this point, in terms of, it's like, who in America actually would even care if they start blaming them now? You had leverage many, many months ago. You decided not to use it. Now, and then the other very smart thing that Bibi has done from his own political calculus is he just keeps ratcheting things up a little bit. Everything is a step forward, What can I get away with here? What can I get away with here? He got us to spend $1 billion in a single night to shoot down missiles for Iran. Now he's gonna get us to do it again. Let's hope it works. that it doesn't go even further, but what's going to happen next time? And then the more that you focus away from Gaza, the more that you change the conversation here, then it becomes about Israel's existentialism, about whether they're going to get drawn into a regional war, and the next thing you know, U.S. troops are the ones who are involved and who are paying the price, and that was the plan literally all along.
Yeah.
And so, we have enabled a lot of this, and we are marching dangerous and dangerously close to even more embroiling. And, to talk about Joe Biden, I mean, this is, forget age. This is the actual legacy, is look at how on the brink the world is right now.
That's correct.
And how dangerous things are for America. If we had had any sort of realism at all, I mean, we wouldn't be in this situation. And, the entire foreign policy elite cheers it on. It's, I think we're in a very dangerous situation. I mean, I've been saying that for 10 months, and that's what people make fun of. But, you only have to be right once to actually acknowledge some of this happening. And even if it doesn't lead to a war, was it worth the hundreds of billions that we have spent on this, not to mention the human toll that has happened as well? And that's just Israel and Ukraine. Put those two things together. It's disaster.
It's absolutely sick.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.